Welcome back to our city, and for the second half of the show, I am pleased to be joined by Mr. Chris Bernardo of the EAP Cleaning Services and is a manager of the Commercial District Services for Elizabeth Avenue. Chris, welcome to the show.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
No, what do you exactly do here on Elizabeth Avenue?
Well, we keep the streets clean, and we work in partnership with the city in doing that. Of course, we have our wonderful sanitation services that take place throughout the week, and we supplement those services by providing trash can cleaning, sidewalk sweeping, maintaining certain aspects of the public amenities like cutting tree branches that may have broken off or fallen down. In general, we try and keep the district clean and safe.
And how many days a week do you service Elizabeth Avenue?
We're here 3 days a week right now.
3 days a week.
Yep.
And you're contracted out with the Elizabeth Avenue Partnership?
With the Elizabeth Avenue Partnership.
Okay. And what is the history of Commercial District Services? That's your company?
Yep, that's our company. We are in about 10 districts throughout northern New Jersey right now. We're in a few major cities like Jersey City and Newark, and we've been in business for close to 15 years.
Do you go and market this to downtown districts and things like that?
We do. We go throughout northern New Jersey, and we market our services, not only cleaning services, but also special event management and certain marketing services that we do in coordination with the districts.
Now, you're from this area, Chris?
I was actually born in Rahway. I grew up in Colonia, and I have a little bit of a history with the EAP. I'm proud to say that I was part of the original consulting firm that helped put the Special Improvement District together going back about 15 years now.
Yeah, that was an interesting debate because you had to meet with all of the property owners and say, hey, listen, you can pay more money.
Yeah.
You can tax yourselves. That must have been interesting marketing.
It was, but ultimately the business owners decided to do it, and I like to think it was probably one of the best decisions that they could have made. Of course, they're able to have some really great services through the establishment of the Special Improvement District. They've got a wonderful staff, Marianne Coscarelli and Dave Strojak, who I know you're very familiar with. And the fact that they've been able to hire my firm, I think is a strong testament toward the success of the Special Improvement District.
So do you do the same thing like in Jersey City and other way? Yeah.
We do. We manage the Journal Square Special Improvement District there, and we also managed the maintenance of the Ironbound Business Improvement District, which is a very successful restaurant and entertainment district. So we spend a lot of time keeping those streets clean as well.
No, the issue's the same. Is it paper and people don't care? I mean, what?
It is.
Yeah.
In general, poor garbage handling practices is what creates a lot of litter in our cities. People putting out their daily garbage in ways that really aren't conducive to keeping it controlled. That creates a lot of litter throughout the district. It's not always someone just throwing a can outside the car window. So we spend a lot of time managing the stakeholders, those businesses and those property owners that are within the districts themselves. So in addition to our cleaning services, we also work very closely with the city and with the stakeholders to do code enforcement. So we'll actually go out on the street and we'll engage with the business owners and we'll let them know what the local codes are for their garbage placement practices. And in many cases, those are very positive engagements where business owners are educated on rules that they didn't really know applied. In certain cases, there are tickets that are involved, but that's usually through the city offices. But for the most part, we've been very successful in getting stakeholders to do the things that they need to do in order to keep a clean and safe district.
So the main issue isn't the person driving down the street throwing stuff out?
No, not at all. It's definitely what happens once the garbage gets placed from the building out to in front of the building.
And then it gets ripped up or something?
It gets ripped up, gets broken open.
Is there a better way for people to place it out front?
Well, actually, simply tying up your bags and making sure that...
People don't tie them up, you mean?
Well, what they do is they tend to take loose garbage and perhaps they have a box that they also want to throw out. And they will take their loose garbage and they'll put it inside that box, not thinking that either the wind or a person may kick that box over and that trash then blows out into the street and then you have an issue.
So are there assets on Elizabeth Avenue that can help in this? Assets?
Well, sir, in terms of managing the stakeholders, certainly our operations, I think, is a big asset because when they see our crew outside cleaning the street and keeping things nice and neat for them, they tend to respond, and the way that they respond is by taking care of their own storefronts and making sure that they do things that don't produce litter. That would be one asset. Of course, we have our EAP staff. They also are engaged with the board members and getting the information out there. And we have our city departments who have been incredibly supportive.
Now, we planted trees and we did the sidewalks. Does that help? Is that conducive to more litter, or is that conducive to is it an equal?
No, the trees themselves are a wonderful amenity, but once they get put in, they have to be maintained. So the tree wells that are created to support those trees, they tend to develop litter. So we have to go through and we have to make sure that those get cleaned out. And then, of course, you have branches that break, things like that. That can be hazardous. So once you put these wonderful amenities in, not just trees, but also benches and garbage cans, and of course the great streetscape that we have that runs through Elizabeth Avenue, once those nice amenities get put in, it's very important for it to be maintained. And that's another great benefit for having a special improvement district in place, because you can ensure that you preserve the taxpayer's investment in those great amenities.
Now, are there enough garbage cans on Elizabeth Avenue, or do you need to be more, or what do you think the number is?
I think that there's probably a good amount of garbage cans at this point. There's certainly at least one at pretty much every major corner, which is good. The one thing that we don't want to do is we don't want to encourage those cans to be filled with residential garbage. And if I can, I'll give a little bit of a PSA here. We really do want people to put their garbage out when they're supposed to, based on the existing city pickup schedule. If they do have garbage, we really want to let them know that it's not good for them to place it in the public trash cans, because once those trash cans get filled up too high, that litter begins to blow out of the can and it produces more litter on the street. So we really want to remind people to put garbage out when they're supposed to, leave those cans for pedestrians, and just for random litter that needs to be.
Yeah, because most people think that once their garbage leaves their house and they put it in a bag and they're done with it, and it's not the case really. If you want to keep your area clean,
that's not the case. That's correct.
I've had bags break open in front of my house or the neighbor's house based on the food waste from the night before from a cat or a squirrel, but you got to go and clean it up in the morning.
Absolutely, we have to clean it up, but also too, remember that's where you live, and so you want to keep the place where you live nice, neat, and clean. And there are some surefire ways that you can do that, and you can help the cause.
Chris, how would you describe the approach that you take to public space management, and how is that approach applied to Elizabeth Avenue?
I think what separates us from other maintenance or janitorial companies is the fact that we truly see clean services as a way of improving economic development in a town or in a city. We believe that when a place is clean, it seems more safe, and it's also a nicer place to shop. People want to shop in environments that they want to be in. And so one of the services that we provide is really place making. We make a place attractive. People want to shop in the districts that we're in. So it truly is an economic development tool. So whenever we approach a district or a project, we never see it only as a cleaning project. We really see it as a marketing project, as a way of producing more business for the district. It truly is economic development.
Do other people see it that way? I mean,
Well, I think a lot of places simply see only the cleaning aspects.
Right, exactly. That's what I was getting at.
And when you're dealing with a building, that might be one thing that you can look at. But when you're dealing with a business district that has a lot of different moving parts and a lot of different factors that affect the health of that district, you really have to have a bigger picture perspective. And I think that's one of the things that we bring to that perspective. My company actually has a pretty interesting history. We not only provide maintenance services, but we also have a long history in managing special improvement districts and being on that side of the equation and looking at those factors. So we bring a very interesting perspective to the clean and safe industry.
Chris, when you're dealing with the code enforcement in Elizabeth or some other community, do you make the call, or do you let the Elizabeth Avenue Partnership make the call?
What we do is,
and how do you follow up?
We see ourselves as a very effective plug-in service to the city and also to the special improvement district. So what we tend to do is we put all of the legwork in. We go out, we photograph the issue, we do an initial engagement with the property owner if we're lucky enough to have access to the property owner. In many cases, it's through the business. But we try
Would you do the tenant if you couldn't get the owner?
we will talk to the tenant, and we will do all the legwork, all the paperwork that the city and the EAP might need in order to follow up and make sure that any issues with code enforcement, any issues are taken care of. So we see ourselves as a really strong plug-in service for that.
So do you actually monitor the follow-up, or
We
you
absolutely-
just fall back exhausted when
no,
it's
we
turned
absolutely, actually, that's one of the key things to our service. We follow up and we make sure that when there's a problem, we may initiate the original communication, but we also follow it through, and we work directly with the city to make sure that that problem is taken care of. And I have to say, the towns and the cities that we work with, they really appreciate that type of service and that type of help. They know that they can count on us on the street to get the job done
in? So
for
how many
them.
people do you employ, Chris?
We have just over 30 employees now,
Really? And they're out there in the different districts.
all throughout the different.
So how'd you
districts,
fall
yeah.
into this type of business?
Well, like I said,
You helped your history.
I have a long history with the EAP, but I actually was in college. I went to Montclair State. I was a political science major, and one of my professors gave Don Smart, my business partner, a call and said, Don, you know, I have a kid I think you should take a look at. He's got an interesting perspective on these urban affairs that you're interested in, and I think he might be a good intern for you. Well, that internship actually turned into a 20-year career now. So I started out as an intern, moved up to a senior associate, and now I own a business, and this is what I do.
Good. Well, I want to thank you. I know you have a shirt there.
I do. I come bearing gifts. I want to give you our new uniform shirt for the Elizabeth Avenue
Oh,
Partnership.
nice.
You'll see our guys on the street wearing these. We also have an operations vehicle that carries the guys around.
With the logo?
With the logo on it. So you'll see
Okay.
that on the street
Thank
as
you
well.
very much. Thank you for taking the time to be on
My
the show.
pleasure. It was great to be here.
For Chris Bernardo and the Elizabeth Avenue Partnership, as well as Councilwoman Patricia Perkins Auguste, I'm Chris Bolwage, and we'll see you next week on another edition of Our City.